wish you could walk into like any negotiation and just nail it,
Yeah.
Walk out feeling confident, got what you wanted, no bridges burned.
Right.
Well, today we're diving deep into the world of negotiation
Okay.
with a little help from some Harvard minds, actually.
Oh, interesting.
We've got this fascinating YouTube video lined up,
Okay.
breaks down some key takeaways from a book
Mm-hmm.
on negotiation,
Right.
written by actual Harvard professors.
Okay.
But get this,
Yeah.
they claim that just knowing the other person in a negotiation
Mm.
can dramatically increase your success rate. Now
Yeah.
that's intriguing.
That is interesting, yeah.
Mm.
What's their, reasoning behind that?
Well, we're going to get into that.
Okay, great.
But before we get ahead of ourselves, let's take a step back.
Right.
This deep dive isn't just about learning some fancy negotiation jargon.
Right?
It's about, how do we actually use this?
Right.
Like, what are the actionable strategies that you can use in your everyday life?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Think about this.
Okay.
You know how most people think of negotiation as,
Right.
as this battle
Right, yeah.
where one person wins and the other one loses?
Mhm.
Our Harvard experts
Yeah,
want us to, ditch that idea entirely.
really. Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
How do they frame it then?
It's not about winning or losing. It's about, finding solutions.
Right.
Okay.
So it's more of a collaborative.
Exactly.
approach.
Yeah. And they give this great example. Imagine two people arguing in a library.
Okay.
It's a classic setup, right?
Right.
One wants the window open, the other wants it closed.
Okay.
Can you feel the tension building?
Oh yeah, definitely. I've been in that situation. It gets heated.
Right. And we automatically assume it's like a battle of wills.
Right. Exactly.
But what if instead of fixating on open window versus closed window,
Mhm.
we dig a little deeper?
Okay.
Maybe the person who wants the window open.
Is feeling stifled and needs some fresh air to think clearly.
Right.
And maybe the person who wants it closed is worried about their papers blowing around. See where I'm going with this?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So it's about understanding the underlying reasons.
Yeah, exactly. And that's where the magic happens.
Right.
Suddenly, instead of arguing about the window,
Yeah.
we're brainstorming solutions that address both people's needs.
Okay.
Maybe cracking a window in a different room to get some airflow without, disturbing anyone.
Right, right. Find that compromise.
Exactly. Compromise. Exactly.
Okay.
And that's what the Harvard professors call separating the people from the problem,
Okay.
which just happens to be the first step in their brilliant 4-step framework for effective negotiation.
Oh, okay. There's a framework.
There is. Are you ready to break this down?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's break it down.
So step 1, as we just mentioned,
Mhm.
is separating the people from the problem. And this is all about being soft on the person, hard on the problem, as they say.
Okay, so it's not a personal attack.
Exactly.
It's more about just...
It's a dance,
Yeah.
not a duel.
Okay, I like that.
Right.
Yeah.
Because it's so easy to let our egos get involved.
Oh, yeah.
I know I'm guilty of that.
For sure.
But the experts stress that getting defensive or taking things personally
Mhm.
will only cloud our judgment and
Right.
make it harder to find that common ground.
Makes sense. Yeah, you're so focused on your own, ego.
Yes.
You're not really listening to what the other person's saying.
Exactly. And this is where that intriguing statistic about knowing the other party
Right.
comes into play. So building that rapport beforehand,
Mhm.
even if it's just a few minutes of casual conversation,
Right.
can significantly increase your chances of success.
Interesting.
It's not just about what you say at the negotiating table.
Mhm.
It's about the connections you build beforehand.
Okay. Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, I like that too. It's humanizing it.
It is. It humanizes the whole process.
Right.
Okay. So we've separated the people from the problem.
Mm-hmm.
What's step 2 in this Harvard negotiation framework?
Okay, let's hear it. What's number 2? Step 2 is focusing on interests, not positions.
Okay, I think I get this, but
No.
give me an example just to make sure I'm on the right track.
Okay, sure. Let's go back to our library window
Yeah.
standoff, right?
Mm-hmm.
The positions are clear. Open window versus closed window.
Right.
But the interests, the underlying needs and desires
Okay.
that drive those positions.
Okay.
So fresh air and concentration, for example.
Ah. So instead of arguing about the window,
Right.
we need to get to the why.
Yeah.
Why is it so important to you to have the window open?
Exactly.
That one question can totally change the conversation.
It can. It can completely change how you approach the situation.
This is reminding me of
Yeah.
a time I was negotiating with a client on a project deadline. they were like stuck on getting it done by a certain date.
Right.
But when I asked why that date was so important,
Yeah.
it turned out there was a big conference
Okay.
that they needed it for.
Makes sense.
So like once I understood their underlying interest,
Right.
we were able to find a compromise.
Okay.
Right. I delivered the most critical parts of the project by their deadline, and then the rest a few days later, and it was a win-win.
Exactly. And that's a perfect example
Yeah.
of how understanding those interests can lead to that win-win.
It's so much better than just butting heads.
Right. Exactly.
Right.
Yeah, it's not about digging your heels in.
Exactly.
It's about finding that solution that works for everyone.
Okay. We've got 2 steps down,
Yes.
2 to go. This is getting good.
All right.
What's next on our negotiation roadmap?
Okay, so step 3 is where we bring in some objectivity.
Okay.
It's about using objective standards to guide the negotiation process.
Objective standards. So like instead of just going with our gut feeling,
Right.
we're looking for some external benchmarks that we can agree on.
Exactly.
Give me some examples.
Sure.
Like what kind of things qualify as objective standards in a negotiation?
So think market prices,
Yeah.
industry benchmarks,
Okay.
expert opinions, even legal precedents.
Okay.
Anything that can help ground the discussion
Mm-hmm.
in something measurable and verifiable.
I like it.
It's about shifting from, I think, to we can both agree that
Okay, so it's less subjective.
exactly.
Right.
It takes out some of that subjectivity.
And I'm starting to see how this works.
Yeah.
Instead of it just being the subjective back and forth,
Right.
we're grounding it in something a little bit more
Something concrete.
concrete. There we go.
Yes, exactly.
Love it.
It's like that age-old dilemma of 2 kids arguing over who gets the bigger slice of cake.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Right.
The solution.
Yeah.
One kid cuts, the other chooses. Right. By introducing that simple objective standard,
Right.
you eliminate the potential for bias
Mm-hmm.
and ensure a fair outcome.
Such a classic example, but it really drives the point home.
Right.
So if we were to apply this to, say, a salary negotiation,
Okay, yeah.
instead of just throwing out numbers,
Right.
you would encourage someone to do their research. Right.
Exactly.
Like, what is the average salary range for their position
Right.
and their experience level
Exactly.
in their geographic area?
Yep. Come prepared with the data.
Data is your friend. Data-driven negotiation. Gotta love it.
I love it.
All right. All right. We've covered separating the people from the problem,
Mm.
focusing on interests,
Yes.
and using objective standards.
Okay.
What's the final piece of this negotiation puzzle?
Step 4 is where things get really interesting. It's about inventing options for mutual gain.
Okay, I think I've heard of this concept before.
Okay.
Isn't this where we move beyond just trying to divide the pie?
Yeah.
And instead, look for ways to make the pie bigger
You got it.
for everyone.
It's about challenging that scarcity mindset
Right.
and tapping into our collective creativity
Mm-hmm.
to find those win-win solutions that might not be immediately apparent.
Because we get so stuck in our ways.
Exactly.
The video illustrated this with a story
Oh, okay.
of 2 kids fighting over an orange. I have a feeling I know where this is going.
Oh, I think I know this one too.
Yeah.
They probably ended up splitting it in half, right?
Well,
If they had just talked to each other,
yeah,
they would realize one kid wanted the juice and the other one wanted the peel.
exactly.
Classic.
Classic case of jumping to solutions
Yes.
before fully understanding the needs.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Right.
And that's why brainstorming is such a crucial part of this step.
Okay.
Don't be afraid to throw out ideas,
Mm.
even if they sound a little crazy at first.
Okay.
You never know what creative solutions you might uncover. When you approach the negotiation with the spirit of open-mindedness
Yeah.
and collaboration.
It's not about being right.
Exactly.
It's not about, like, proving a point.
Right.
It's about coming to the table with a willingness to explore possibilities.
Yes, it's about finding the best solution.
Yes. I love this.
Not necessarily the solution that you initially came in with.
Exactly.
It could be something even better.
Yes. This whole framework has been amazing.
Good. I'm glad.
But let's get real for a second.
Okay.
We all know that not everyone plays by the rules.
That's true.
What about those times when we're dealing with someone who's using, shall we say,
Yeah.
less than ethical tactics
Right.
to get what they want?
Yeah, there's always those people.
What do our Harvard negotiation gurus have
Wow.
to say about handling those trickier situations?
That's a great question, and you're right.
Yeah.
Not all negotiations are going to be straightforward.
Right.
They actually dedicate a good chunk of the video to addressing these difficult scenarios. And they offer some really practical advice for staying calm, composed, and most importantly, in control.
Okay, hit me with it.
Okay.
Let's start with those who like to,
Yeah.
let's just say, bend the rules a bit.
Right, right.
Any red flags we should be on the lookout for?
Well, one common tactic is the classic good cop, bad cop routine.
Oh, yeah.
One person comes across as aggressive and inflexible,
Mm-hmm.
while their partner swoops in, all smiles and understanding,
Right,
trying to make you feel like they're on your side.
right. And potentially lowering your guard.
Exactly.
Oh, I've been there. It's so manipulative.
It is, and it can be really effective if you're not prepared for it.
Yeah, you're never quite sure who to trust.
Exactly.
Hmm.
But here's the key.
Okay.
Don't be afraid to call them out.
Okay.
Not in an aggressive way, of course,
Right.
just
Fair.
politely and directly.
Okay.
You could say something like, I'm sensing a bit of a good cop, bad cop dynamic here. I think we'll be much more productive if we can all just be upfront and transparent about what we need.
I love that.
Right.
It's like you're shining a light on their little game,
Exactly.
which immediately takes away its power.
Precisely. And often, that's all it takes.
Really?
Simply acknowledging the tactic can be enough to make them abandon it
Wow.
and engage in a more genuine way.
Okay, that's brilliant.
Yeah, it's a simple but effective technique.
But what about when you're dealing with, like, a power imbalance?
Oh.
Say you're negotiating with your boss.
Right.
Or a company with, significantly more resources.
Right, you can feel like they automatically have the upper hand.
Yeah, it feels like they have all the cards, right?
Yeah, but that's where your BTNA comes into play.
BETNA.
Yeah.
Wait, before we go any further, can we
Yeah.
unpack that acronym?
Of course.
BATNA, I
Okay.
think.
BTNA stands for your best alternative to a negotiated agreement.
Okay.
It's essentially your backup plan.
Okay, so it's like having a safety net
Exactly.
going into the negotiation, so you're not desperate to make any deal.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah. Regardless of the terms.
It's about knowing your worth
Okay.
and being prepared to walk away if your needs aren't met.
So the stronger your BTNA,
Yes.
the more leverage you have because you're not afraid to walk away if the terms aren't favorable.
Precisely. You have other options.
You have options.
Yes.
Okay, I like it.
It gives you that confidence
It does.
to negotiate from a place of strength rather than desperation.
So let's say you're going for a job interview.
Okay.
A strong BTNA in that situation would be
Yeah.
having other job offers lined up.
Exactly.
So you're not completely reliant on this one particular opportunity.
Or even just having a clear idea of your non-negotiables,
Okay.
the salary or benefits you're unwilling to compromise on,
Okay.
and being prepared to walk away if those needs aren't met.
This is gold.
Right.
Okay.
It empowers you in those situations.
So we've talked about handling those good cop, bad cop scenarios
Mhm.
and leveraging our BTNA. What other kind of tricky situations do these Harvard negotiators prepare us for?
Well, let's talk about something that can really derail a negotiation. Personal attacks.
Ugh. Yes.
Right.
How do we stay calm?
It's tough.
And more importantly, keep the negotiation on track.
Yeah.
When someone is just trying to push our buttons.
Yeah, this is where mastering your own emotions becomes absolutely key.
Oh, it's so hard though.
It is. It is.
Especially when you're in the heat of the moment
Right?
and you feel like, that adrenaline pumping.
Exactly.
It's hard to think rationally sometimes.
It is. But thankfully, our Harvard negotiation experts offer a brilliant technique.
Okay.
They call it negotiation jujitsu.
Negotiation jujitsu. That sounds intense.
It does, doesn't it? It's about deflecting those personal attacks
Okay.
and redirecting the focus back to the issue at hand.
So not taking it personally.
Exactly.
Which is so hard not to do.
It is. It is. But if you can master this,
Right.
it's like verbal Aikido. You're using your opponent's momentum against them.
I like it. I like it.
Right. So, for example,
Okay.
imagine someone says, this proposal is completely unrealistic.
Okay, yeah, I've heard that one before.
Right. Instead of getting defensive, you could try saying, I hear that you have some concerns about the feasibility of this plan. Can you tell me more about what's making you feel that way?
So instead of getting bogged down in this defensive back and forth,
Exactly.
we're using their criticism as an opportunity to better understand their perspective
Exactly.
and potentially uncover some valuable information.
It's a powerful way to de-escalate the situation, build rapport, and refocus the conversation on finding solutions.
It takes a lot of self-control, though,
It does.
to respond that way when someone's coming at you with that negativity.
It does. It takes praxis.
Right.
But like any martial art, mastering negotiation jujitsu can equip you to handle even the most challenging situations
With grace.
with grace and effectiveness.
I love it. This has been such an eye-opening deep dive.
Good, good. I'm glad to hear that.
We've covered so much ground, from the four-step framework
Mhm.
to, handling these difficult tactics.
Yes.
And what I love most is that these aren't just like theoretical concepts. They're
Yeah.
practical strategies that we can all start using today.
Exactly.
To improve our negotiation skills.
Yeah.
Whether we're dealing with like a high stakes business deal or just, trying to decide what to have for dinner with our partner.
It's true. Negotiation skills are life skills.
They really are. They really are.
And the more we can practice these techniques,
Right.
the more confident and effective we'll become in all areas of our lives.
Exactly. And you know what? That feels like the perfect note to end on.
It does. It does.
So to our listeners, I want to leave you with this one thought.
Okay.
The next time you find yourself in a situation where you need to negotiate, whether it's with a coworker, a family member, or even just that inner voice in your head.
Love that inner voice.
Right. Ask yourself this. What would it look like to approach this not as a battle to be won, but as a puzzle to be solved together?
Such a powerful reframe.
Keep that question in mind, and I guarantee you'll be amazed by the creative solutions you can find.
Absolutely. Collaboration over competition every time.
Love it. And on that note, until next time, happy negotiating, everyone.
Bye, everyone.